Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Writing. It is July. We were off last week. I hope you had an enjoyable 4th of July if you're in the United States, or I also hope you had a enjoyable 4th of July, just being it's the 4th of July, if you weren't around in another country. So let's get started. Why don't you guys put in the chat what's your favorite breakfast food? Just to say hey, let me know you're here. What is your favorite breakfast food? We actually had breakfast for dinner tonight, and it was delicious. So technically, yes, it's the second time I've had breakfast today, but I'm done with that. So that'll give everyone a second to get in, and we can move into other fun things. I can show you a few things that I did this week, as well as share with you the opportunity to become a beta user for the Byte-Sized library. So I will let everyone get in, get settled. Okay. So while we're waiting for people to get going, so let's go ahead and hey Emery, anything you don't have to make yourself. Okay, I fully support that. Yeah, it's nice to have other people cook for you sometimes, so I'm down with that. Let me go ahead and show you. So this is actually the last week we met. I made a slight tweak to the prompt here. So this is updated as of today. I've also asked it, in addition to adding the places for the outline, also to add any characters or additional lore. And that's actually going to really help us. Because that's what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working on the Codex. So I also listed out, there was a request for me to add the AI-isms. So they are here as well if you missed out on that. So that is everything from last meeting. So let's go to today, which is July 11th. Now, there is a lot here. So I have hidden most of it so it doesn't like take over your entire screen. So just be advised. If you click here, you can look at the story information. So our hook, pitch, premise, and synopsis for book 1 have been updated. And you can see those here. I've also updated them in my series Codex as well. If we look here, this is once I went through and determined what I wanted to have happen. Oh, hi, Master Tamari. I did, instead of the 3-act structure like I did last week, hey, Kat, I actually did the 4-act structure this time. Why did I pick the 4-act structure versus the 3-act structure? The 4-act structure, I feel it's more balanced. Basically, you're in the 3-act structure, your second act is the biggest. It's and when you do the 4-act structure, basically you just put it in half, and so you've got 2 and 3. I know it's silly, but that's why I went ahead and used the 4-act structure. And you can look through this. There's quite a bit here. A little bit of it has changed. I really did dive really deep into this and did make some changes. We also have the novel clock structure. And again, there will be some minor differences between what is here and what actually made it into the outline. But I really love the novel clock structure. One thing that you're not going to see, because it was just I overkilled. I also did save the beat. Sorry, save the cat beat sheet. And I did do with a problem. And I asked the LLM, I was like, okay, look at the outline. Tell me, how does it follow with the save the cat beat sheet, specifically dude with a problem? And it's like, okay, your all is lost is way too early. So I had to push my all is lost back. That's the only change that got made to the whole thing. So here we are. We have an outline. Remember from last week, or sorry, I'm saying last week, the week before last, um, when we have instead of using chapters, we're actually using scenes for everything. And a scene changes when there is a change in location or venue. It also changes if there's a change in point of view. However, I'm only going to have one point of view in the story, so it didn't make sense to tell it, if there's a change in point of view, because the point of view is not going to change. Okay, so we've got Act 1. We scroll down here, and I went ahead and I left, these like little snippets about what is happening, kind of like it's like the sub act, if that makes any sense. I went ahead and left them in there. I've got Act 2 here. You've got Act 3. And finally, we have Act 4. Now, it comes out to a whopping 43 chapters. Okay. I initially came up with 45. I actually grew it to 48, and I brought it down to 43. Okay. As far as this outline, I'm sticking to it. It's going to be, it's not going to be like militant sticking to the outline. It's just going to help me know what's next. And if I disagree with what's next, I can change it. So we will be using that. Okay. Now, before we get into Novelcrafter and begin putting together our codex, I did want to show you guys, and I actually put it down here as well, coming soon, the Byte-Sized Library. If you guys are interested in becoming a beta for the Byte-Sized Library, what it is, I showed you a couple weeks ago that I was building a prompt library for Novelcrafter and fiction authors in general. Here is actually the landing page. And I'm actually going to be distributing going forward all of my prompts through the Byte-Sized Library. So FYI, you can sign up here and get on the waiting list. There's no pictures or anything. I've actually been showing screenshots of my journey in the Discord channel. It's been fun. I've made a lot of mistakes. I completely stopped what I was doing, restarted the entire app from scratch at one point. It has been a journey, let me tell you. But that is the Byte-Sized Library. And let's move on to Novelcrafter. So what we're going to be doing today, I'll go ahead and come in here. We are going to be working in the series Codex. But what we are doing is creating the Codex entries that are actually going to go into book 1. Okay. And we're doing it from the series Codex because that's where all the information is right now. And then again, we'll go ahead, put it into book 1. I can check Kat and see if you signed up. One thing I also want to bring to your attention, which it's been a minute since I have been on a live stream. If you notice by your name, there is now either like a crown or some kind of like I don't know, icon. They are doing this, it's like a top fans thing. So depending on how many times you post, if you're someone who, uh, sends money to the creator or whatever, um, it will actually like bump up you on the leaderboard. So there's like a leaderboard. Hey, Bonnie. Uh, a leaderboard for whenever you actually start posting on YouTube. So it's like totally new as far as I'm aware. If you guys don't want to show up at the leaderboard, there is actually a place you can. Those crowns are stupid. Yeah. You can actually like turn it off so you don't show up on the leaderboard. And if you need me to tell you how to do it, just send me a note and I can tell you how to turn it off. Because yeah, it's kind of annoying. It's kind of distracting for me as I'm trying to watch the chat and do the things here. So yeah. Okay. So let's go into book 0. Now, why am I not just taking everything that is in the series codex and putting it into book 1? I'm so glad you asked. The series codex is for everything. Right now, it's primarily geared towards what's in book 1. But as we build the series, or if we were continuing to build the series beyond book 1, the other books would also come in and be included in this codex as well. So when I create the codex, I'm creating the codex as it is the first day of the first book. So the first day of the first book, Charlie is human. So are we going to take that into consideration? 100%. I did a little testing, trying to figure out, is it best to, either have one version of Charlie and then use maybe codex details to switch her? Or does it make more sense to have 2 different character entries for Charlie? And it makes more sense to have 2 different entries. I also need to have 2 different entries for the city of Cleveland because Cleveland is the location where the story is taking place. So I need to have a human side of Cleveland, and then I need to have a supernatural side of Cleveland. Okay, Bonnie said they've been around for about 2 weeks and they are annoying. Okay. Well, they were new to me. Okay. I seem to be congested today. Sorry. Let me show you the changes that I've made in the codex since we talked last. So the scene list that I created is actually in here now. So you can see that. I put a 0 at the beginning to make sure that it showed up first in the list. And then I've got my hook, my pitch, my premise, and my synopsis. And then I've got, everything else here is the same, except for if you come down to secondary characters, I added the letter Z to put it at the very bottom. Just reading Bonnie's comment. Yes, your series codex is the same as your story Bible, but it's really your series Bible. The book Bible, it would be per book. Okay. So what we're going to do, we are going to go into chat, open a new thread. Okay. Who are we going to use today? So we're going to go into our dev editor, come down here to urban fantasy mystery. Remember all of these, well, not all of these, but the urban fantasy mystery dev editor is actually available to you here, right here in the prompts. Okay. So for the context, I am going to put in here, I only need a specific entry. I want, the scene list. Oh, Kat says, I've never used the subplot entries. I wasn't sure how they worked and what they did. Okay. Let's take a quick aside and let's talk about the subplot entries. So here we are. I may or may not have used them correctly, but what I did was after I went and figured out here are all my subplots and here are all the ways that we are going, here's the different things that have to happen in each book for each subplot. Um, that's basically what's here. So I have what has to happen in this specific book for this specific subplot. And then I used that when I was creating my synopsis, and it also went into creating the outline itself. So I pulled all of that in there to be able to create the outline. So now I don't really need to refer to them anymore unless I just want to like check them off that, hey, I got everything in subplot A done. Hey, I got everything done in subplot B. But I really did just roll it into my outline. So technically, I don't really need that subplot to appear in my book codex. Yeah? Let me know if you have any more questions. Okay. So I'm going to work with my scene list here. I've got my urban fantasy mystery dev editor. So what do I want to say? Oh, Emery says she also attaches her progressions for easy tracking, which if you use the matrix, I never use the matrix. I need to be better about using the matrix. It really is a very helpful tool. Yeah, I will not be teaching anything on that. Okay, so let's go and we are going to figure out what we need to put in our codex. Okay, so within the scene list, let's go back and look at it again. If you look at it, you see the characters, you see the location, and you see the lore for each of the scenes. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a list of all the characters, the locations, and the lore from the scene list. So that's where we're going to start. Please review the scene list and provide me a comprehensive list of all the characters, locations, lore. Okay. And again, I'm using Claude 3.7. We could use 4 if you wanted to. We can do that. I would prefer to use 3.7 definitely for writing purposes. Let's go ahead and send that. So it's giving me a list. Now there is one character that I ended up taking out because she kind of she made Act 1 kind of go on a little bit too long. It was actually the doctor that works for the vampires. So we'll actually be meeting her instead in book 2. Okay, so let's go here and see what we have. So our comprehensive reference list for Dead and Delivered. So we've got our main characters that are here. So we do need to add definitely for director Matsuda and Vance. But Charlie, again, we're going to have to do a version that is human and a version that is paranormal. Let's see. Officer Rivera. So that is her former coworker and partner. I kept calling her the work wife, and it kept sticking with that terminology. Dylan Wallace is actually the victim of the mystery for the first book. And then Miranda Holloway is Dylan's fiance. So the unseen attackers. I I still need to work out um, who she is attacked by and why she we know who turns her, but I still need to work out, is she attacked and turned by and I always forget his name. Hold on one sec. His name is Lawson Serrano. So is she attacked and turned by Lawson, or is she attacked by someone else? And Lawson knows that we're going to need her, and so he turns her into a vampire. So that I don't know. I still need to work on that part. So this one here is up in the air. We have some enforcers. So they're going to be the people that come and get her and take her to the Vampire Corporation. We also have some enforcers that we have to deal with from the Carmina Syndicate. We're going to be dealing with them at the end of the book, as well as she's going to be attacked by a ghoul, because ghouls have so much fun. Ghouls just want to have fun? I don't know. There's also going to be a ghost who provides some insight during the investigation, and actually the Carmina Syndicate enforcers are actually the same as actually they aren't the same as the Carmina goons. So these are people who Dylan's going to see in his memory of his death, because she's going to apparently be able to look at his memory as a ghost, because why the heck not? Okay, so now we have some locations. So there's specific locations in the DLO. So we've got the main bullpen, the records room, kitchen, and the director's office. Yar, yar, yar. Yeah, I know. I definitely am keeping my day job. We've got our induction center and the intake room, the corporate apartment, which that's going to be fun to write, because it's going to be very corporate and very bland. A nondescript van. We've got some other scene locations, different places within Cleveland itself. And then we actually have the ghost's memory scape. So, like, when she sees his memory, like what it looks like in that space. And then the lore. Sire Bond is something that is new. That came out today in the stuff that I was putting together. And she's going to be using the Sire Bond to try to find her sire, which is, again, Lawson. And then supernatural creatures and abilities, including some of hers. And then magical systems and objects, organizations and conspiracies, and then just some background things, including Kingston has a unicorn collection. They're actually going to be going to Kingston's house, and they're going to find out he has a unicorn collection. Don't ask. Anyway, we also need to learn some more about Director Batsuda's background, and then something about safe houses, which I don't think we actually are going to be using any safe houses, but it would be good to know about safe houses, I guess. Okay, so from this point, I basically just start at the top of the list, and I'm going to start working on Charlie first. So let's see. I'm pretty sure we can remove that context. Okay. Live or figurines? They are figurines. Basically, the history on that one is I needed to give him some depth. So yes, my depth went to figurines of unicorns, but they were given to him by his sister, and his sister has passed away. And it's his fault that his sister died. So we're going to allow him to beat himself up over something other, because with him, he's almost a little too perfect, and it was kind of irking me. So Now we are going to be messing up a little bit, giving him some background and giving him some angst. Okay, let's start by coming up with book Bible entries for Charlie Craig. We need 2 different entries. One as a human, technically a parahuman, and one as a vampire. Yeah. Let's try that. See how that goes. I would normally do the whole group of each type of character at one time. But since we're doing 2 different versions for Charlie, I thought we'd do them to get those done and over with first. And then we can take care of the rest of the people. Okay. Oh, wow. It's even giving me the relationships. That's fantastic. Goodness gravy. Okay, so let's go and see what we got. I'm more than likely going to have to make changes, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so these are, and I call it a book Bible because that is something that the LLMs understand. So they understand what a book Bible entry is. They don't understand what a Codex entry is, unless you explain to the LLM that a Codex entry is another name for a book Bible entry. So, Charlene Charlie Craig, and parahuman, yes. Occupation, she's a homicide detective on psychological leave. Fantastic. So it gives us a little bit about what she looks like. And actually, we're gonna have to update that because she actually does have red hair. Let's go. Personality traits. So she is has an obsessive need for justice. This is correct. Uh, it turned from she's on psych leave because she's burned out and uh, something traumatic happened during the investigation to the fact that they noticed she was just like obsessed over the trafficking case. And so she got put on leave because of that. So that's a little bit of a change from where we had been going originally. Here we go. So strengths, flaws, communication style with a tendency towards sarcasm. Absolutely. Okay, and so we've got background in history. So, deceased mother, that is correct. Her mom has passed. She does have a Brian. Ryan is her brother. I do know her dad's name, but he didn't show up here, and I didn't end up putting either one of her family members in the story, and you'll see why when you look through um, the actual outline. Okay. Okay. She has an uncanny ability to know things. Absolutely. So her situation before she transforms into a vampire. So she's on mandatory leave. Okay. This has to be changed. So it's not a brutal case involving the murder of a young mother. That is incorrect. So it can't read my mind. So I have to change that. Okay. And then it goes into her human relationship. So Officer Rivera, Captain Morrison. So we've got okay, here is her dad, Frank Craig, her brother, Ryan Craig. So her abilities. So she's got psychic intuition, pattern recognition, emotional resonance, and truth detection, which I didn't remember us putting her as a lie detector. I didn't remember that coming up. So I'm going to check back through and see if that is correct. I may leave it. It might be interesting to keep. Her fatal flaw is her inability to let go of unsolved crimes, combined with her latent psychic sensitivity to supernatural crimes. It makes her a target for those who want to silence inconvenient investigations. So maybe that's why she got uh, attacked, is because someone wanted to silence her. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, now we've got Charlie Craig the vampire. So she is physically frozen at 29 years old. So her occupation now is at the DLO. She is a inductee to the Vampire Corporation. Oh, it even says redacted. That's hilarious. Okay, so it's going to give us the physical description with the slight enhancements to her. So we've got her pale skin. We've got her otherworldly luminescence. I don't know about that. But some of this is good. She has to wear sunglasses indoors. I don't think that. No. We'll mess with it. So the event. So it's talking about her being transformed, the corporate response, and the fact that she has missing memories. So she doesn't remember being turned into a vampire, and she doesn't remember who turned her into a vampire. So, and that will be one of the mysteries that we'll be solving. Okay, so here's her powers and her psychic abilities as well, which are amplified from her human version, which I like that. That's very good. And talks about her being a hybrid, which is true. Okay, so personality changes. That's not something that we had talked about yet, is how her personality would have changed going from being human to parahuman, or I'm sorry, parahuman to vampire. So now she has some new challenges, including bloodlust and predatory instincts. Yay. Okay. Overwhelmed by constant ghost chatter, resentment, and guilt. We've got some coping mechanisms. That's awesome. Her current situation. So she's officially deceased. That is a new thing as well. Before, I was going to have her have some sort of connection with her family, and she just couldn't see her family. But I decided today that we just needed to make a break from her family, and so she's going to be officially deceased. That does create some issues when it comes to her investigation and her potentially running into the Cleveland Police Department, because she was a detective with the police department. So that's just more conflict. Employment, living situation, emotional state. Fantastic. Her new relationships. Position in the world, character trajectory. Fantastic. Okay. So I'm super happy with these. There is definitely some things that have to be updated. But let's go ahead. We're going to move on to the rest of the main characters. So great. Now we need to create book Bible entries for the rest of the main characters. That'll look up her bank accounts and stuff too. Yeah. Um, I think that's actually like a really, really fantastic point. Um, what the corporation can do is, you know, put some beneficiary who's actually her, and then just move her stuff over to her. I mean, they're corrupt and all that other stuff anyway, so they can do what they want. Okay, so now we need to create book Bible entries for the rest of the main characters. This includes Kingston, director Matsuda, Vance, Harrington, Eddie, and Veritas. Okay. Let's see. Physical description. Communication style. One thing I forgot is, and I can actually come back and do this a little bit later, or even I can do this when I am working from book one's codex. In addition to their physical description, I also wanted to know, um, they have a communication style, but I need a verbal communication style. I also need a non-verbal communication style as well. So, what do they do with their hands? Um, do they do something, any like facial tics or something like that? Um, do they, I don't know, are they monotone? Those kind of things. Okay. It's going to town. Veritas the Destroyer. His true name is classified. Oh. Oh, goodness. And I love that it's putting the relationships in here as well. Typically, I'll have a relationship map as like an additional item in my codex. And that helps the LLM be able to know how specific people respond to others. Uh oh. I think Bonnie accidentally posted in our chat here. Okay. So I'm not going to go through and read those, but you kind of get the idea. Normally I would. Oh, they did that in Highlander? Okay. They redacted names. Is that what you're talking about? Or, oh, no, you mean the bank accounts? They would leave the bank, like, leave their money to themselves? Okay. I'll wait for her to respond to that. Okay. So normally I would go through, I would do the main characters, and then I can do the supporting characters, the antagonists, the minor characters. But I want to go ahead and I want to move over to the locations. So we're actually going to start with the DLO, and then we'll move into the other locations after that. Great. Let's put together a book Bible entry for each of the locations in the DLO facility. Be sure to include spatial orientation within the space as well. Okay. Why did I tell it that I wanted to include spatial orientation? Well, friend, the LLM doesn't understand. Just basically, if there's stuff in a room It's going to have your character walk through it. Unless you tell it that, hey, this is where the door is. This is where the lamp is. I also include spatial orientation as well in anytime I'm doing a scene brief as well. So not only do you know what's actually in the room, but you know how the characters interact with the things inside the room in an actual scene. So, okay. Oh, the cat. Okay, I understand. Bonnie said that the cat stepped on her keyboard and sent a chat. Okay. So here we go. I'm just gonna look at this last one. So this is Veritas's coffee domain. He has claimed the counter area around the coffee station as his personal kingdom. His food and water bowls are positioned for optimal observation of coffee preparation activities. This cat slash manticore is very, very specific about his coffee domain, I guess. So we have the equipment, we have strict quality standards, uh, occasional sabotage of substandard attempts. Okay. Supernatural elements. So the kitchen sits over a minor ley line. Why? Why would anyway? Coffee divination. He reads disturbances in the coffee. I don't think so. I think I'm definitely going to be getting rid of that one. Eddie occasionally manifests to complain about the modern kitchen hygiene standards compared to 1920s practices. I guess if you've got a cat on the counter while you're making coffee, I can see that that would be a problem. So we've got safety hazards, we've got daily operations, storage solutions. Oh my goodness. And social dynamics. So it's the unofficial meeting space for casual conversations, private consultations, and Veritas holds his daily court sessions while he dispenses wisdom, complaints, and coffee related advice to staff. That is hilarious. Okay. Oh, and apparently that's part of the kitchen. So that's not even the whole kitchen. That's just his spot. Um, wow. That's intense. Here we go. Oh, here's the filing system chaos. Eddie's filing system. Eddie's spectral workspace. Okay, in the records room. Okay, awesome. Okay, so and I will be sure to take the prompts that I've used and go ahead and put them in the document, in the Notion document for you guys to use if you want to use the same ones I did. So, okay. Hold on. I really should have just copied this someplace. I guess I just could have copied it into a snippet. That would have been less scrolling. We'll just do that. Boop, there we go. Okay. And I can actually pin the snippet. Look at that. That looks fantastic. Okay, so we have simulated that we've done characters. We've done some of the locations. Again, same thing with the Vampire Corporation. Now, when it comes to the Cleveland settings, we need to specify which ones are human, which ones are not human, supernatural. And then we can actually break it up like we did with Charlie herself. Okay, so now let's go to the lore entries. And we'll just go to the bottom. Fantastic. Okay, now let's come up with Book Bible entries for the lore. We'll start with the Vampire Society and mechanics. If you want to, you can be more specific and give it all of these. Especially if you get further along in the whole chat, I would definitely do that. I'm going to just do it here just to make sure that I get what I'm supposed to get. Okay. So now it's just going to go through and give me information about different parts of the lore for my world. And I'll be able to copy these, paste them into book 1. The C-suite, department heads, legitimate enterprises, we've got the corporate culture. So we've got sanitized vampirism, rejection of traditional Gothic imagery in favor of professional, business-oriented, supernatural lifestyle. Vampires are employees, not monsters. Okay. Performance metrics. Oh my goodness. Also talks about politics, which is interesting as well. So we've got the induction protocols. I'm definitely going to have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that I understand what's going on and make sure that I cover everything that I need. Uh-oh. Let's see. So in here, actually, as part of no, not goth. Yeah, apparently we're not going gothic. We're going corporate. As part of the induction protocols, this is a place where I can include that information about what do I do with the person's money. So this is a perfect place to put that. Because I don't think it has it in here already. So again, that's just, I wouldn't have even thought about it. Blood box, premium nutrition delivery service. Okay. Standard human blood types processed through corporate medical partnerships meets minimum nutritional requirements for vampire survival. Minimum nutritional requirements. They don't want these vampires to be strong. And that's going to be a big thing between the vampires that are part of the corporation versus the vampires that are part of the other it's like a gang, and they believe in, apparently gothic vampirism, munching on humans and that sort of thing. So, but munching on humans with consent. Okay. Shelf stable blood products for crisis situations. Supply chain disruptions. Oh my goodness. QA. Delivery logistics. Marketing. Oh my gosh. This is really reminds me of True Blood, and they had the whole True Blood thing when the show was on. They had the branding and all that other stuff. Alternative sources. Vegan options. Oh my goodness. Independent providers and traditional feeding. Oh goodness. And actually, traditional feeding is not allowed. So I'll have to fix that. At least according to the Vampire Corporation. So enhanced senses. Blood hunger. Okay, that's something that we really hadn't talked about. The spike contingent, Mavericks and Rogues, 100%. Yeah. I like that it has a progression for the hunger. I hadn't really thought about it. We do have a situation where while they're out in the field, she hasn't had enough blood, and so there's a situation and Kingston has to deal with it. So this is definitely something I can include, subtle recognition of feeding need, increased awareness, just, physical discomfort. Like I can use the progression to actually, you know, show she's getting to that point. Okay. Blood source hierarchy. Feeding methods. Okay, sire bond. So that's something that I'll have to also work on some more as well. As well as sire bond mechanics and tracking. Oh, and actually, apparently, we have the legal death status as well. Medical witness coordination timeline. Asset transition. Okay. They actually are having it transferred to a supernatural holding company or trusted associates. That's interesting. So basically, all of our money is going into the Vampire Corporation. That's some BS right there. Sounds like my assistant has read Vampire the Masquerade and is giving you your version of Clan Venture. Okay. I've actually my husband knows a bit about Vampire the Masquerade, and so he was trying to explain it to me. Like I missed that whole thing. I didn't get into that. Okay. So with this, I would again use the same prompt and I could get the supernatural creatures and abilities, magical systems and objects, organizations and conspiracies, and background elements as well, if I wanted to include those. Okay. So other things that I will want to have in my codex. And again, this is going to be the book 1 codex. So I'm going to have to copy all of this stuff, edit it, and put it into book 1. But I'm also going to want to have a relationship map. Yes, we're talking about the different relationships, who's friendly with who and whatnot. But having an overall relationship map that you can stick inside the LLM is priceless, because right now we don't have that built in. And that's something that I believe that might be coming at some point, having, the ability to have kind of a built-in relationship map, but I know it's been mentioned before. So Masquerade LARPs. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get into LARPing or any of that kind of thing. I was into other things. Okay, let's please give me a relationship map. Okay. Oops. I always forget that. Okay, so this is going to give you kind of an idea of what a relationship map is going to look like. It's probably going to be quite long. Okay, awesome. And also talks about the different types of tension. So that's awesome as well, including human versus supernatural, independence versus protection, personal versus professional, and trust versus secrecy. Romantic development, conspiracy, family complications. Actually, I have to X all of this out because she's going to be considered dead. She cannot communicate with her family. She cannot communicate with Officer Rivera. So we're going to X all that out. Corporate conflict escalation. How do you work all of that into the codex? You mean the relationship map? I literally will have a codex entry called relationship map. And let's see if I can find one where I have one. I think I have one in here. Nope, I don't. Okay. I would have to find a version of that. Yes, the map. Honestly, just copy and paste it. Whatever it gives you, you can put it right into your codex. Um, it's worked really well for me in the past. And I will also, let's pretend that this is my relationship map. I will also have it always include this entry in the AI as well. So um, there are only three, yes, three items that I ever have always included in the AI. It's always going to be my relationship map. It's going to be my story genre, and it's going to be my style guide. Those are the only things, unless it's a romance. Okay. Bonnie says, if you need help, don't hesitate. Okay. Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you, Bonnie. Cat under the character's entry. Um, so you can include that information under the character, but I like to also have a specific separate relationship map that again is always in the AI. It always is sent to the LLM anytime I am sending anything over to it while I'm writing prose. So, okay. Now, the other thing that I'm going to need a prose style guide. Okay. Um, Once you get started, it's super easy to go take anything that you've written and have it create a prose style guide to basically copy what you've written. But when you get started, um, if you don't have anything that exists already for the series that you're doing, it's hard to kind of come up with something just like on the fly. So here's what I normally do. Please create a prose style guide for this story. And I'll wait and I'll do this as the last thing. Once I have information about all the characters, about the locations, and all of those things. This is usually the last thing that I do. So please create a prose style guide for the story. It will be in first person, point of view, past tense, from Charlie's point of view. Do you have to tell it this information? No, but it has a tendency of putting it in there anyway. So I like it to be correct. Go ahead and send this. You can get more specific. You can tell it, hey, make sure that you use simple dialogue tags if you want simple dialogue tags. You can tell it that you want to make sure that you have internal monologue that is set off with asterisks. If you set it off with asterisks, it'll make sure that it is italicized. You can also ask it to include examples. So I'm actually going to do that too. Please be sure to include examples. Okay, so point of view and tense, voice and tone, examples, dialogue style, descriptions, supernatural worlds, internal monologue. Now, this does not have any italics, so I would probably go in there and change that. Then it talks about pacing, humor and sarcasm, dialogue tags and action beats, and it goes on. Okay, here we go. Interesting. So her voice is going to evolve over the series as she learns more about the world that she's in. So she's basically a newbie right now. So that's what her voice needs to sound like. So The ghost looked exactly like what central casting would order for disappointed bureaucrat number 3. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Eddie's ectoplasmic signature was stronger today. That's just weird. But recurring elements, minimal dialogue tags. So I hate said tags. Ugh. Yeah, action beats and character voice to indicate speaker rather than relying heavily on said tags. Yeah, I hate the word said. Okay, awesome. It looks like we are at our hour. Uh, what are the questions? Um, and as I give you guys a minute to send in your questions, I will also say make sure you include your story genre as well. So again, the story genre, the style guide, and the relationship map are going to be the only things that I want to always be on when I have my story going and always be sent to the LLM. I need to figure out how to turn off that list. I think it's annoying. Okay, guys. I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me know if you guys have any questions. For some reason, it is not sending me an email when I get a comment on my videos. I don't understand why, but um, I will get back to you as soon as I can. Um, you guys have an amazing week and happy writing.